So, 3 words: stalker by proxy. Because by adding my friend, now he had another source, like another outlet for him to kind of try and gather information about me. Like, what am I up to? What am I doing? That one, I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. You either know her, and it's just like, why would you try and reinvite someone who you know is friends with your harasser? Why shortly after he added and tagged her in a post, in a story? And if you really don't remember her, why are you adding someone random with no mutual friends? Like that's the one I no, that is not a coincidence. And also when he proposes, January is when we had that court hearing for the order of protection that was denied. Now I can't even say, well, he's in this area. What is he doing here? Like when he was pulled over near my parents, because I'm like, you work in downtown, you live in Simpsonville. Why are you here shortly after a 12-hour shift? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But now there's nothing because his partner, his fiance, or whatever, lives just a few minutes down the road. It's one of those things where I'm like, well, now I need to adjust my running trail when I go running too, because it's just too close for my comfort. Stalker by proxy, because now he has a reason to be in the area. Oh, I'm like, boo, I would not take that. If I knew that someone proposed to me after their ex was trying to get a restraining order against them because they're over there watching the stories, trying to add their friends, it's not even, I'm not even talking like 6 months apart, January, March. And y'all, there's more to this whole apartment situation because to me, I just, too many coincidences. Not only did me and him talk about moving there, but I also mentioned the trauma that happened there. So not only did Nate know about this trauma, right? But at the end of 2024, Nate interacted with my ex, the one who I live in those apartments with, the ones that all that crazy mess happened, all that trauma. Yeah, Nate interacted with his profile on Instagram, knowing what he's done, knowing that he is facing charges for exploitation of a minor, different count, like 3 or 4 different charges. I'm bringing this up because hopefully for anyone who might still have any doubt that I am just not over my crazy ass pistachio, because that's the way that the detention center made it seem. So I'm sorry if I keep feeling like I need to demonstrate that that's not the case. Knowing that he knew all of this was in the summer of 2024. I told him what happened, how I not only did I have to do vocal therapy, but I felt like I had injured certain muscles and tendons because I remember with my hands, I was not strong enough to get him off. And then I had to use my feet, my legs to try and just move him, just create enough space to be able to kick. And knowing all of this, knowing what he's facing charges for, knowing how we met when I was 17, that he would even interact with his profile. Even if what my first partner is saying is true, that he only liked it, because I don't believe my first partner either. But I can't be jealous of the monster that you have. And I do even have the text from my first ex who confirms that, yeah, Nate had done so back then, because this is before I even knew they were engaged. February 5th of this year, I texted him because I realized I didn't have any proof that that had happened. And the reason there is still some communication is because when we split, he kept one of my dogs, and every now and then I still take care of her, and vice versa. We usually will meet like at a public place, a gas station, or somewhere there's a lot of people, obviously. And Nate knows this too, because he knew about this whole process of it all. And now this is where this shit, this is where I'm gonna just let y'all decide what it all means. But all I know is that I don't like this one bit, because there's just more. And y'all, please check out episode 2 and 3 for the full chisme, news, call for help, what I don't even know what to call them. But Nate B tried catfishing me shortly after we first met in person. He was facing an eviction, lived in like 22 to 25 minutes away. And he was on a grinder free subscription. So for him to be around, like for him to try and successfully catfish me, he had to be within close proximity. This is the kind of behavior I already saw like pretty early on. And I didn't find out about this until towards the end of the relationship, when I finally got access to the account log. When he initially tried catfishing me, he used some random dude's pictures, Middle Eastern or something, the guy's pictures that he was using. I wasn't on Grinder, so he never actually messaged me. He was just pretending to live on the same road that I lived on. And yeah, so he was trying to find my profile, but I mean, I had deleted it. I wasn't lying to him that I had deleted it. And so for me, it's just like when you don't think about any of the consequences, because like I think I mentioned in this episode, you're offering to pay for these things, but you knew you were at risk of eviction, and instead of spending more time on working, hustling, you're over here obsessing you don't care about the consequences. And then all the messages were he's saying that he is like cold hearted, that he's just felt numb, that there's something wrong with like the brain, that something's wrong with him, that he needs to get help. And I've tried multiple times, but instead of going to see like a therapist, he ended up going to see just like a psychiatrist that prescribes medication. He got put on a stimulant and that was it. He said that he can't stop himself when he gets mad. And specifically the one that gets me is that he has stated that he gets filled with anger seeing me in person. And I have reported since like November of 2024 that he told me that he wanted to bash my face when he would see it. And I don't understand why you're looking at my social media because again, that's the only reason I can think of why he would add my friend shortly after I posted a story. If you hate my face and you get angry every time you see it, why are you looking at my social media? The only thing that's happening is that this hatred for me is building and building and building.
My other concern, accusing me of things he has done or will do.
He would always accuse me of things that he would be doing. So at one point, he was upset because he had sent me a message on Snapchat and I apparently my Snapchat score had gone up and I hadn't opened or responded to his. So he was upset that I was talking to other guys on Snapchat and just not him. And then one time he was also upset because I send him like a flirty snap. He's like, you probably send that to all your guys. And I was like, no, you're accusing me of doing things on Snapchat when you're the one on Grinder handing out your Snapchat. You accuse me of being on Grinder when you're the one on Grinder. You accuse me of cheating, you're the one cheating. You message my mom, my sister, my three sisters, my sister's boyfriend, my friend, all in a group chat, and then individually, you target specifically my sister. But when I message your family, once your mom, once your brother, no profanity, no nastiness, I'm just saying you need to come get your boy. He's over here acting real goofy. Get him a lawyer, get him some mental help. I'm obsessed. I'm crazy. He goes on to call me like a low life human. And when he did text my family, he's saying that I'm turning into his accounts. What did we see out with the Amazon Prime account? And then going back to the part of being obsessed, who was the one that was trying to catfish who pretending to live on a certain road that you did not live on, that we had, honestly, we hadn't been talking for that long. So you didn't have no excuse to be acting that crazy. That is obsessive. Some of y'all know what this is like. When they start accusing you of things that you're not doing, it's because they're telling you exactly what they're doing. So some of y'all could probably relate to this, but here is the one that really gets me. August of 2024, when he temporarily had moved out to live back with his former roommate, Mario. But it was for a short period of time. And I told him, okay, where are you so I can just drop off the rest of your things? That way I don't have to worry about dealing with you or having, some kind of open line of communication. I'm ready to give you everything, block you, done. He says that he doesn't want me to know where he's at. And I was like, what? He's like, because what if you get mad one day and you just like show up? And I was like, wait a minute. I made sure to clarify. I'm like, are you saying that you're concerned that one day I might just randomly get mad and I'm just going to show up to your house and harm you? And that's exactly what it was. That if one day I have a bad day, I'm going to show up to where he lives and harm him. That is why I'm concerned. I talked about fetishization, how it reduces people. You don't see the person. If he can't even empathize with a kitten, I'm like, imagine someone who is just, fetishized, just dehumanized. And he's already told me not beat up, like slap my face. If he said he wanted to slap me silly, I'm like, okay, queen. But bash repeatedly, like, mm-mm. And then why are you letting that anger build up? And that was so random to say that I'm just gonna show up to his place one day and harm him when August 2024, August 18th, he's the one that was following me around Unity Park where he was posting, follow me around that park, apologizing for hitting me. There was another incident. And I even called him out on this one and called him like racist and all that shit because he literally like scrunched my shirt up like he was about to hit. And there was a whole argument and I was like, you see, and you swear that shit that I found in your history doesn't matter, doesn't have anything to say about you, when clearly it does. Because look at the way that you just acted like you're about to hit me or something. And I went off and I told him everything that I had seen on his search history, the slave stuff, the black thugs, the black humiliation. And those were just off the history. Of course, on his Twitter, I mean, every kind of degrading form that you can think of, specific Hispanic Latino searches in there. But that is one of the accounts that I was not able to get any account data. When I confronted him about this and said, I was like, what about all that? And he said, what? I did the confused. I was like, oh, really? You're going to act confused? So I said, fine, I'm gonna show the whole world. And he was like, what, you would do something like that? And I'm like, well, you don't have to worry about it because I mean, if it doesn't exist, then what exactly am I gonna share online if it doesn't exist? And this is when he says something along the lines of, "You're the kind of person that shares someone's personal content from trauma." Oh God, Tro goodness gracious. Yo, this is all too many red flags. No, one, not only can he not tell the truth, which he said that I can't even tell the truth. It's a serious problem. Yeah, it is a serious problem. That's why I told you shouldn't go into law enforcement. He said that he's cold hearted, that he's messed up in the head. We already talked about that. Even in the voice memo, right? In the voice memo that he recorded some disconnection. Telling y'all from 2017, went back to when he was a teenager. He went from watching black porn. The part that gets me though, what I did find alarming is that in 2021, it went from black porn to black humiliation, escalating. One moment, I'm intelligent. What keeps him running? The love of his life. Like he is so sorry for everything he's done. I don't deserve any of this. What he's done to me or my family. And then now I am a low life trash because I did the exact same thing that he did. And not even the exact same thing because again, I didn't message everybody and their mamas. I didn't tell them all kinds of profanity and lies. So him saying this is personal content from trauma when I threatened to out it all, that's what I don't get. Then why have you just did it just Latino? I even made a video before all this shit got bad and ugly when we were still living together. I even made a video because deep down, sometimes I couldn't keep it in. It would come out because I realized, yeah, it did bother me more than I let on. And I have a video where I'm like, you're kind of racist. And I was like, what race was your first sex, Nate? What about the second one? His first one is black. I don't know what race, maybe mix. I think is what Nate had said. And then obviously there's me, you're Latino, Mexicano. After me, there is the Afro Latino Boricua from Atlanta. And then you have the guy he's dating now. And the one he's dating now, I mean, he has all the flags. I'm not gonna get into that though, because there's a certain way I feel about Mexicans that have so many flags on their bio. That's for a different conversation. But to me, I'm like, your personal content from trauma. It's like saying I'm an alcoholic, but I want to work at a bar. So many just creepy things about this dude. Even from his grinder log, again, from that one week when he had moved out to be with his former roommate, and he was already trying to hook up with guys while telling me at the same time. Well, not the same time, but shortly after, when he realized that his roommate was still fucking crazy. Like the first time he had lived with him, saying he's trying to butter me up to get me to lend him some money or to let him move back in. I miss sleeping with you and the boys and all that. Well, just like a day or two before that, he was telling some guy, trying to invite him over and trying to get a sense of what was going to go down. And the guy, I think, had suggested topping, and Nate said, "Oh, well, so such a weird phrasing. I'm gonna have it up in the video. I don't have it in front of me right now, but something along the lines of like, when you see me, is that what you want to do?" I read that shit and I was like, dude, no wonder he didn't end up meeting with you because why say what you are? They have such weird identity issues. And I'm no one to talk about identity. We've talked about this. I've gone to so many schools, but I'm gonna tell y'all something like I might not necessarily have the best idea of who I am, but I know what I'm not. And I mean, in a way, I do know what I am because I know at the end of the day, I'm a survivor. Like, yeah, I might come off as like a chameleon. I was just changing and trying to fit my environment. Hey, but a survivor is someone. Okay, it makes you think about like Dittos. If you're a Pokemon fan, I mean, a Ditto is a Ditto. You can't. That's what he does. Changes. Okay, but this whole Nate thing is just so from the voice recognition to the when you see me, is that what you want to do? Yes, and then this leads us to the whole reason why he even moved out there to begin with on Woodruff Road. He already knew how crazy this Mario dude was. That's why he ended up living with me and my family because he took out a predatory loan to be able to move in with this guy before he even did his research. And so there he is moving in with us and my family. It was supposed to be temporary, ended up becoming more long term. So I was like, why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. And then when Nate moves back in, at one point he accidentally lets it slip that this officer, this brown officer that was in the same like starting class group with him at the detention center, that he lives off Woodruff Road. I was like, oh, okay. The same place where you used to live with your roommate. The same place where he had moved back out to on the same road. And I was like, oh, okay. Because at one point when he had showed me like the picture of his class, I was like, "Oh, haha, that dude sure looks a lot like all the guys on your Twitter videos." And then I remember he like immediately took his phone down. He was so uncomfortable. And I was like, "I'm kidding. I'm joking." Yeah, apparently not, because you didn't think about what was going to happen to you and your safety if you moved back in. If you moved back in, that's why he was asking me for money, because this Mario dude had no money to pay for the rent. So he was asking Nate to pay for the full thing. Nate calls me asking to move back in or for help. He's like, because he's at my door. He's just banging on it. He won't leave me alone. He keeps making me apply for loans and loans, and I'm not being approved for any of them. So it's just going to ruin my score even more, which is what I said. But when a white dude is there banging on your door, forcing you to apply for loans to cover for both of y'all's rent because this dude does drugs and all kinds of stuff, you don't call the police on him. No, you're going to call the police on me instead. Okay. But again, he has no concept of reality. A few days before my kitten had died, I had seen them all on a bench, him and his two sisters. That bench was busted. So I order a new one, and it didn't arrive until after baby Yorkie died. And so I'm building the bench, and that's all I'm thinking about is now there's only going to be two. There's going to be one missing, and I'm all teary-eyed. I'm having trouble seeing the instructions. Now I already knew when it was going to arrive, and I had told Nate preemptively, like, if he could help me with it, and he said yes. Now this brown officer had sent Nate a text message asking him if he wanted to go to the gym later. Since I had already agreed with Nate, and Nate already knew he was going to help me build the bench, he tells the officer no. Come the time where I'm building the bench, it arrived. The Amazon driver dropped it off. I'm building it. I'm getting all emotional. I can't really see because my eyes are all teary eyed. And Nate starts walking up to me, and I'm thinking, oh, thank God, because now I have someone who can actually probably see the instructions. I'm struggling here. I'm just trying to keep myself together. And he walks up to me to ask me if it's okay if he can go to the gym with this officer. I already knew he had a crush on him because that's all that he could talk about was this officer. He went to, oh yeah, no, he doesn't look at all like the guys from my Twitter feed. Yeah, he's annoying. I don't even like him. He's just such a douchey guy to officer this, that. He told me this about himself, or he said this about himself. So I already knew he had a crush, and I'm there still dealing with all my emotions from my cat dying. So yeah, at that point, from anger and sadness, sadness for my cat, anger that he's being such an asshole about it. I start crying, and I just let it all out and start sobbing. And when I finally look up at his face, this dude had the biggest grin on his face. I don't know what I could have done to him that was so wrong that he would get pleasure from seeing that, because he had already told this officer that he couldn't go. And I looked at his messages. I brought it up to him. I was like, what the fuck? You had told him hours ago that you couldn't go. So why were you asking me? I don't know, Roman. I'm sorry. Something's just wrong with me. Like, what the fuck did I do to you? You're the one that cheated. You're the one that was on Grindr the whole entire relationship. What have I done to you? Like, I don't understand where this is coming from. Because I could already tell that something was up with him and that he was this obsession. I could see it in his eyes when he went to drop off my passport, because I was at HR when I finally was starting at the detention center, and I went to orientation. I had regarded my passport, and so he brought it to me. And when he dropped it off and he gave it in my hand, I saw him. I could see his face. Like at that point, I was like in hypervigilant mode, and I could tell these different changes. And I was like, no, this hoe is up to something. I even have the messages where I'm like, what's going on? He's like, nothing, nothing. And oh no. I was like, well, I'm gonna find out once I get home. I'm gonna sort this out. And indeed, there's a receipt that I have of almost $100 that he spent at the vitamin shop getting supplements for working out and all of that. That morning, before he went to drop off my passport, like at around 7:38, maybe a.m., this officer that he had a crush on sends him a message about going to the gym sometime. Nate responds, "Oh yeah, when?" And that's when he comes, drops off the passport later on. I see him, and I can tell by his face. So then to find out, I'm like, you spend $100 because your crush asked you if you wanted to go to the gym, and so you decided to take my money. You spent $100 on supplements, on like protein or whey, whatever it was at the vitamin shop. You gotta be fucking kidding me. This dude didn't even have car insurance on his car. When he had moved out to be with his former roommate on Woodruff Road, I told him I was done paying for his car insurance. So when he came back, yeah, he didn't have car insurance. I did lend him a little bit of money just for food. And I was like, "Well, what the fuck are you gonna eat now? You spend it." Like again, he doesn't know understand consequences, or I don't understand what that he was driving his car without insurance. The $100 would have gone a good way towards paying his car insurance. Instead, he chose to buy supplements for an obsession than to pay for car insurance and risk it because he would have lost his job too if he had gotten pulled over with no car insurance. They can say I was a horrible partner. He might be right. Like I know that I was not the best at showing affection, not just romantically, but to my friends. I know that I have like certain walls up. I know that I never claimed to be the perfect partner, but nothing excuses everything that he has done trying to get me arrested. To my parents that took him in and assisted him, do realize like the stress that that would put on them of just knowing someone out there is trying to get their son arrested? It's hard to say that you're this proud Latino when you don't care about the way that he treats other Latinos. Hopefully, this clears things up because, yes, I am brokenhearted. And that has been part of what has driven me to make this podcast. But brokenhearted because I haven't even gotten the chance to grieve for my kitten. I haven't had the chance to just take a breath. I mean, from the moment I was burying him, I was already having to deal with all of this shit and the Hurricane Helene and then getting fired and having to figure out how to pay for all these vet bills because they need to get fixed. And Nate is refusing to pay me back a single dollar. He's been making all this money. I helped him get pretty much debt free. So he doesn't have any debt to pay off. And instead he's been splurging it on gifts for himself, for others, for his hoochies. I was left to pay for all the vet bills alone. And even then I couldn't focus on just trying to pay those vet bills because I'm trying to focus on how to get away from him. And then also that's when he's telling me with the cancer lies. He could never cut me a break. Even when he saw me struggling, dealing with all of that. I mean, I have a hard time losing any of my pets, but a kitten, just a few months old, that was devastating. And it's continued from the moment that baby Yorgi died from September 2024 all the way through January now of 2026. Well, I appreciate everyone who has been supportive, but specifically the Latinos, it means a lot. It's been a very difficult experience. You know, we grew up seeing en las noticias, Univision, Telemundo, a lot of people in Mexico siempre desaparecen. They disappear and they're never found, like the autobuses of all those students. And you just kind of start early on reading receiving this message that Mexican lives don't matter. I feel like the reason I haven't lost my sanity, despite everything I went through as a teenager, as a kid, is because I've been telling myself that I got to keep it together so that I can do something about it. I dropped out of human services because I wanted to try and go into law enforcement before I even met Nate. But Nate, who has laid guns out, whether I don't know if they're real or not, the quality of the video is not the best, but around a baby as props. Nate, who instead of trying to advocate for Latinos and Black, instead is over here trying to get them arrested, viewing them in all kinds of nasty ways, and instead of protecting minors, punches them because it's always been about humiliation. It's always been about degrading people, punches them, makes fun of them for living in mobile homes.
You live in a trailer? You live in a trailer? Dude, you fucking live in a trailer.
Dude, no, stop!
And this boy is obviously younger than him in these videos, all drugged up. Videos of him just smacking his dog, a video of Nate recording his friend fondling a dog's penis. All these things of like, these are all, especially combined, are huge red flags as someone who's already said that they don't have any empathy. Having videos saved of a chicken getting shot with a shotgun in domestic relationships where stalking occurs, especially with fetishization that dehumanizes, who has said he's wanted to bash my face, and now he has a reason to be this close. All of these are markers of like a high critical like danger for everything that's just been happening. And I'm done. I'm gonna continue living my life. Yeah, I am just done. Probably by the time this episode is up, I will either probably be at the store trying to get a Glock, trying to get a shotgun, trying to get some kind of pistol. But yeah, aside from that, I'm going to be trying to resume my life as normal, y'all, because last year was fucking hell. I can't keep doing the same thing. I was either in Dallas or Atlanta or Charlotte, Mexico, Colombia, wherever I could be that was not Greenville. But yeah, hopefully this actually makes its way to some of the gay Latinos and the Black gays. Most of his support comes from Latinos and African Americans. So, and Latinos, y'all are just making this meme so true. The one of like the hottest Latinos out there with just some white guy. Damn. Y'all gotta stop simping over the most basic white dudes just because they're tall, have blue eyes, y'all. I mean, they could be 6 foot 6'3", 6'5", and be the smallest man alive. Dealing with the whole Nate B2 one too, it's been so hard not to draw comparisons because throughout the entire relationship, when we were in Mexico over there, all the time, people coming up to him, "Oh, tú estás bien bonito, tú estás bien bonito," and I'm just like, all I can do is sit there and smile, and I'm just like, and then they just look back at me and they smile and they walk off, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then it's hard not to draw comparisons too, because I mean, he makes a report. Oh, and it's like crazy ass reports. I'm like, he showed up there showing them where I'm saying, stop spamming me or I'm gonna go public with all the illegal shit that you've done. Instead of being like, what illegal shit is he talking about? They're like, okay, that's enough to make a report. Again, at 17, I had to make a report against a predator, and I was told I was lying because I was having sex with boys in the restroom, which was not true because otherwise I would have been suspended. There would have been records about it. It's absurd. It's been hard to draw comparisons because it's like, why, whatever he says, it's just so much easier for him when I've been having to fight to make a report against an actual predator, which is why I call bullshit when they say that with the immigration raids and all that, saying that it's to keep American citizens safe. That's some bullshit because the nasty predator, he is here illegally. I've already mentioned several times I'm a Georgia Peach. I was born in Atlanta. So yeah, I'm a US citizen. Even in Atlanta, yeah, at the clubs, like when we went out last time in September, it wasn't even like somebody like that was all that. But they came up to us and grabbed Nate and it's like, oh my God, you are so beautiful. And then they walk out and I'm just like, they look at me and they went, and I was like, "Oh." I remember I started putting my stuff down, and he was like, "Don't read too much into it, Roman." Like, shut the I'm ready to be done with this and stop going in this place. I feel like I didn't really even need to be doing the most. All I had to do was not lie about having cancer. That's already a fucking horrible, shitty thing to do. I will aim high and I will blow low if I have to, but never all the way down to the ground. Never like, to talk to someone who you know exploits minors and interact with their profile because you know that they hate your ex. That is a whole nother level of nastiness. And I'm like, okay. I look back and I'm like, what I did at 17, I was like, that was some real baddie shit. I'm done with the Nate B2 and 2. I'm gonna be packing in case he ever comes knocking. But yeah, aside from that, I'm gonna continue now. We do have the episodes about the detention center in Greenville County and the role that they played in all of this. Why I think that they tried to help him get me arrested because this has to do with some of the drug tests that I brought up to their attention. And there's a lot of cheese man there because yeah, there's an officer that walked out too shortly after I was escorted out, but he told me it all adds up, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? This one lieutenant specifically, like some of the crazy shit he has done. He even went as far as to say that Nate B can talk to me. And when Nate talks to me, I can then respond back. But then I am not allowed to initiate a conversation with Nate unless Nate is the one that initiates the conversation. The way, y'all, that I was so flabbergasted, shocked, astounded. I felt like I got on the magic school bus and went all the way back to like what 1940s, 1950s. What next thing you know, I'm gonna have to step off the sidewalk. I'm gonna have to like move aside of Nate's walking by. Fuck no. No, 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 no. So as soon as I left that room, I went in front of a Mexican officer that I trusted, and under a camera at the detention center, and I wrote down in the notebook that they told us ourselves that if we ever found ourselves in court, that the notes in that notebook were admissible for court. So there is a lot to unpack when it comes to the detention center in Greenville County because it is not fair that someone like Nate B gets to continue when I came forward to make a report because I saw a safety issue of Nate trying to also follow this officer's movement at the detention center. He was literally trying to follow his movements of where he was at to try and run into him when he went on break. And Nate is supposed to be on post. So that is a safety concern. That's why I said something. And to get, again, I'm always fucking screwed over every time I try to do the right thing. And I'm just like, no, I deserve a chance to try and at least see if it's something that I succeed at or do well. But in Charlotte, I couldn't get the job because we had to speak to Greenville County. I went through everything else. They just need to speak to Greenville County. And then when they heard back from them, I got the notification. Thank you for applying. But I was like, oh God. I was like, well, life isn't fair. But I already know that. And I feel like typically Mexican parents would be like, pues ni modo, mijo. But no, I am going to keep trying. I don't care what I got to do. I mean, I never thought about making a podcast, but here I am because at some point you just get tired. You just like no more. And that's where I'm at. So thank you for joining me again, ending this silence because that in the silence is where all kinds of nastiness and evil thrives. And the moment that you start breaking that silence, you don't give it the space. So that's what I'm trying to do. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next episode. Oh, yes, the next episode, episode 6. Who's gassing this hoe? BP. See you in the next episode. Chismosos.